Welcome to Jason Mitchell Outdoors Television. Join us as we showcase some of the greatest hunting and fishing opportunities across the Midwest. There, we got him. Whoa! There's a fish. Oh, just like that. Thanks so much. That's a beauty. Got it. Today's show is brought to you by these fine sponsors: Yar-Craft Boats, Evinrude BRP, Jason Mitchell Elite Series Rods, North Dakota Tourism Legendary, Cooper Chevrolet, Clam Ice Fishing, Northland Fishing Tackle, US Reel, Trigger X, Salmo Fishing Lures, and Bionic Line. Follow Jason Mitchell Outdoors online at jasonmitchelloutdoors.com or become a fan on Facebook. There we go. That's what we're looking for. That's a nice fish there.
Beautiful fish, Jason.
Yeah. Whoa. Wow, that's what we're here for. You just missed one too, didn't you? We're on them. Welcome to this episode of Jason Mitchell Outdoors. I tell you what, across Minnesota there's some phenomenal pan fishing opportunities, and for a lot of anglers, crappies are a favorite fish. Great fighting fish, great eating fish, and with me today is a guest who we've done a lot of shows with in the past, who I would consider just a pan fish expert in this Detroit Lakes area of Minnesota. Just a great guy, but most of all, he's willing to share a lot of his insights and tips that'll hopefully help you to catch a lot more fish just like this.
You know, a lot of the time when I pick a lake that it looks interesting to me, and a lot of that's just purely based on location. I'll get on the DNR Lake Finder website. You can check all the netting data and see what kind of size fish it holds. It tells, you know, how many of each size panfish were caught in their nets on the survey year. And it's a helpful tool. A lot of people coming to the state, you know, they check with local resorts. They can call the resort. Resorts never have a shortage of photos of youngsters catching fish, or even adults with a nice, you know, limit of beautiful panfish.
Obviously, you can only catch big bluegills if they're in the lake, but what are some of the things that you're looking for? I mean, you're in a great area and there's all kinds of lakes around.
You know, these typically they're lakes that have lots and lots of bluegills that are stunted. You just don't get into the quality of fish that you can by searching around a little bit. Just like during our ice season, a lot of times these bigger bluegills are going to be the more aggressive ones. They're going to be the ones that shoot up a little bit higher to get your bait, and they're going to be the ones that are the most aggressive. A lot of times we're looking for, there's another one. We're looking for areas right outside weed lines, off of break areas, turns in structure. You know, bluegills are pretty much found anywhere. When you start getting sunny days, you can really target them underneath docks, swim rafts. You know, there's a lot of areas that bluegills will inhabit.
And a lot of times they'll be pretty close proximity to the crappies as well, and you've got a lot of interesting insight because you also have another hobby besides fishing, that's scuba diving, and that's got to be just fascinating.
It really is. It lets you see the underwater world like you can't even experience it with an underwater camera or anything like it. One of the things that I really see a lot of is when we're diving, a lot of times those bluegills are below the crappies in the water column. You know, a lot of times if they're underneath the swim raft, underneath the dock, it's the crappies are more skittish. They're up higher when the bluegills are hanging down closer to the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Boy, these things are just off to the races. These little rods are just so much fun to catch fish too. Look at there. There's a look at that.
Beautiful fish.
Yeah, isn't that pretty?
Yours makes mine look small.
Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Just the nose on that leech, that's really tough, toughest part of the leech, and by far, that's one of my favorite baits for panfish in the summertime. It's like pork rind how it stays on. I'm just using a little hexy fly, and I don't know if it really matters, but this is one of my favorite jigs in the ice. It works equally well in the summertime. You just run that nose right through that tip, that leech's nose. That'll stay on for several fish.
There's one. You know, these all day long, these are just fun fish to catch.
They kind of bring out the kid in you, don't they?
They really do. And you know, especially when we're getting a little bit better sized fish.
Yeah.
A lot of times you
that's
get
fun.
those little bluegills off the dock, but when you start targeting a little bit bigger bluegills, man, they put up a good fight and some excellent table fare.
Oh, absolutely. Realistically, they're probably one of the most popular game fish or sport fish in the United States.
I'd be willing to bet that most kids get
Way
their
more
start.
people fish for bluegills than walleyes.
Yep. And I'd be willing to bet most kids get their start on bluegills off the dock with grandma or grandpa, and it's something that you can do your whole life.
Absolutely. And when you get older, you can feel like a kid again when fishing for them. Right?
Absolutely.
I never get tired of them.
There goes one. There we go. Right on the edge of that weed patch, Jason. Nice fish.
Follow Jason Mitchell Outdoors online at jasonmitchelloutdoors.com or become a fan on Facebook. Oh, I love that. Another nice bluegill. Nothing wrong with these, huh?
You know, when you're into aggressive fish like this and, you know, these bluegills, it's a great time to kind of work on some different presentations, try some different things too. You know, one of the things we're discovering is if we drop down to the bottom, it's pretty easy to catch a fish right away. They're really stacked in here. And one of the things that we're doing is lifting our jig up, trying to get the little bit bigger fish, a little bit more aggressive fish up higher. And we've even had a few times where we've moved them up higher right now and we've gotten into a crappie.
That's a good point, Tony. I mean, that's, you know, especially like if you're on a pontoon boat anchored, or
Yep.
you know, the longer you sit there, the more fish are going to probably move in below you. And a lot of times the bigger fish have a tendency to be on the top.
Yep. And like you said, with the pontoon and getting the family out, kids out, that sun starts shining and that pontoon is offering shade for the panfish to move under. And a lot of times you can watch right over the side as the fish start moving in.
There's a nice bluegill, Tony. That's a dandy there. Boy, that rod is fun to catch fish. There's a nice gill there. Even big kids love to catch these.
Yeah, you know, these are some decent fish and that rod makes it, there we go.
You got them too?
Yeah. Again, we're finding that these sunfish are definitely more aggressive and in a little bit shallower than the crappies have been. Well, one of the things that I've really seen when we're out here diving is, you know, when you find that coontail or the charrowweed down there in the sand, a lot of time those bluegills really relate to it. Typically, it seems that either the crappies, if you've got a good stand of weeds, the crappies typically will be in the weeds and the bluegills above them. But when you get more into the sandgrass, a lot of times we'll find the sunfish are on the bottom and then the crappies are actually suspended above them.
I imagine there's always exceptions to everything with fishing, but that's
Absolutely.
a pretty good rule of thumb though. If you're catching bluegills, get out or above those fish, and chances are those fish will turn into crappies.
Right, and that's what we're finding today is these bluegills are kind of hugging the bottom, that 12, 13, 14 foot, and we're finding the crappies just a little bit deeper, off the break line, a little bit above them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're just beautiful, beautiful colored fish. You can see again that remnants of the weeds, you know, with them being right on the edge of the weed line. Once we're catching them, we're definitely bringing in some weeds.
You know, you get 3-pound test, right rod, and for brief periods of time, you can feel like you're 12 years old again. There's people that spend a lot of money to look younger. How about feeling younger?
You look good with that fish.
Nice gill.
Yeah, beautiful coloring on them.
That's a nice gill, Tony. Nice gill. You know, bluegills officially mark summer in Minnesota, and it's a great resource, not just for kids, but adults as well. I'd like to thank Tony Marriotti, just a wealth of knowledge if you want to fish for panfish, or if you want to bring kids out, your family out, or just spend an enjoyable day out on the lake. You know, no matter how old you get, you can still feel young by fishing for panfish. We'll see you next week on Jason Mitchell Outdoors.